Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about currency pair correlations. I get questions about this often. You guys have probably seen a printout or a document somewhere on the internet that shows you, hey, CAD pairs are correlated with oil and Euro USD is correlated with GBP USD. But for some reason, as with many things in trading, the simple answer isn't always the best answer. So what I have found is that there's actually a more concise way to use currency pair correlations to help you identify really great trades. This has to be prefaced with you must have a trading system. If you don't have a system and you're just trying to buy a currency pair or sell a currency pair at random every day with no predetermined stop loss, no predetermined entry, this is not going to work. Where this correlation technique that I'm going to show you works is when you have a trading system and you're waiting for a specific entry signal. So for example, we trade 3 systems at ASFX. And if you want to learn more about them, I'll put links in the description to the starter pack. That's the beginner and the advanced course bundled together, save you some money. In the starter pack, we teach the A1, the D1, and the D2. Those 3 systems are precise entry signals that we've backtested. They have predetermined stop loss levels, predetermined rules for risk management, position sizing, trade management, and exit. So it's all detailed in my trading plan. And in the courses, I teach you how to build the same plan for yourself and use it in your own way. But anyway, the correlation has to be backed behind a system. So if we flip over and look at the chart, today, let's look at our watch list. These red flags here above my head are the watch list that we're focused on most. As we've said already today in the live stream, we're looking at EuroCAD and GBP-CAD at the top of the list here. With those 2 pairs both on the list because of the setups that they started with this morning, first of all, being bearish overall with the market sentiment line, this yellow line on the TDI being bearish, and the EMAs being bearish overall, and price moving lower yesterday, all of that feeding the short bias, it's going to make the list today. We're going to potentially look for shorts on it. If we then want to be smart and make sure that we're not missing potential opportunities, we would want to go check other CAD quote pairs to see if they're presenting entry signals that have better probabilities, higher probabilities than this one on EuroCAD. So for example, we would look at GBP-CAD, another CAD quote pair. GCAD has that perfect market sentiment line in the sell zone, so that feeds the bearish bias. However, this broke above the 50 EMA and rose to the 200 EMA already. So now, looking between EuroCAD and GCAD, if we're looking for shorts, GCAD is already up at the 200 EMA. It's making higher lows and higher highs. It's upshifted, putting the 8 EMA over the 21. So right there, with all of those things wrong with it, we call them knocks against the quality of the setup, we would default back into wanting to short EuroCAD if it presented the entry signal. Now, we wouldn't just jump in short. Like I said before, that's not how you trade correlation. We would want to then wait for the proper signal, but we now can feel more confident in shorting EuroCAD if it did present because we know that it's the highest probability CAD quote pair. In the same sense, you could look at AUD-CAD, not a pair that I have on my watch list, but you could look at that as well. See here, this is also rising, higher lows and higher highs clearly. So that kind of makes me feel even more that that short idea on EuroCAD is not going to be the trade of the day. And you can see, if you're on the live stream, we've been talking about this is holding above yesterday's low really well. So I'm not short this at all right now. If anything, I think this is going to rise. That's why I had that arrow there. Same thing, again, look at ACAD and GCAD. They look very similar. So why would EuroCAD move different? Normally, you would think that they all move together. In the same sense, look at the bottom of the watch list. We have GCHF and UCHF. Both of those correlated CHF quote pairs. They're quote pairs because it's the second pair. So when GCHF moves down, UCHF should move down. Sometimes. Nothing is correlated 100% of the time. Should have said that at the beginning too. Nothing works 100% of the time. But if you look at GCHF and you see it struggling to come lower, when you come in to look for shorts on UCHF, if you missed the earlier entry like I did, you'd want to make sure you're saying, hey, I don't want to just jump in short here because the other correlated CHF pair is telling me that it's actually rising. So keep that in mind. And then the last one I want to point out today, Euro AUD. Lindsay caught a beautiful trade short here. See that market sentiment bias, that EMA bias. It's under yesterday's low. It's beautiful here to see this move lower towards that white divergence line that I have drawn. At the same time, GBP AUD looked like it was going to move off the 50 EMA. Market sentiment was bearish. Same divergence on the bottom. EMAs are bearish. It could move to the divergence line, but it doesn't. Why? There's no D1 or A1 entry here on GBP AUD. There's no entry signal that fits our system. Here on Euro AUD, as you can see in my notes, this is a D1 entry on the 1 minute using the 15-minute level. So for correlation purposes, you want to be checking the other quote pairs to see if you're missing a high probability setup. If you are missing a high probability setup, you can shift your focus, for example, from EuroCAD to GCAD. You're still trading that CAD quote pair, but you might catch a better setup if you can work through your checklist of probabilities and then divert your attention over there. But again, none of this will work if you're just trying to, oh, CAD's going up, buy all the CAD pairs. It's not going to work like that. You've got to be able to narrow down the entry with a system, with or systems, the A1, D1, and D2 if you're in ASFX. And then from there, you're waiting for those signals to present on the highest probability pair associated with that correlation. Does that make sense to everybody? Are there any questions about that?